a little difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got attendees coming in. Everybody's joining us.
Nice. And they can hear us, but we cannot hear them, right?
Correct. Yes.
The room is filling up.
They're coming in. We had a massive amount of people register for this webinar, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
Everybody's.
I was going to say it's different. Our topic is I would say more niche than usual. Would you agree, Morgan?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's a bit more esoteric than we've done before, but it's really, really relevant to what's happening in the industry, and I'll go into it more, but I can say that even though this technology has been around a little while, it was mostly ignored for most of the last decade. Would you agree, Steven?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and it's been around for quite some time. So it's taken some time to really impinge. Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody who's joining us right now. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. We'd like to give everybody an opportunity to join so they don't miss out on anything that we're going over today. So give us just about a minute or two.
Yep. And for the people that have come in already, we do want to make this interactive. We do what's becoming, I think, less and less common is having a live webinar. Most of the larger companies I know are pre-recording these. They're putting them out there as, you know, linear play only, and somebody fields questions. We are all live. There is nothing that is pre-recorded. So please use the raise hand, the Q&A, the chat, and ask questions, and we'll be happy to answer them on the spot. This is one of the advantages of a live webinar, and we intend to make use of it.
Absolutely. And Marjorie said that it's been too expensive for her clients. So she's very interested in hearing what we have to say today. And I happen to know that Steve's platform is super affordable. And so I think that you'll be very excited to learn more about his technology and offerings for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised at how affordable Steve is, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
you have a conversation.
Wait,
is that all it costs? Wait, what? I don't have to buy a license. I don't have to like do. I was pleasantly surprised how affordable his technology is. So,
and if Brad is saying that, let me assure you,
I am one of the cheapest dudes around. So.
Without further ado, let's be respectful of everybody's time. There are still some people that are joining in, but let's go ahead and get started. We'll get through introductions and then we'll get into the content. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our live interactive webinar. My name is Morgan DiGiorgio and I am the SVP Sales for DirectMail 2.0. Here at DirectMail 2.0, we have a marketing automation platform, and our sole purpose is to integrate technology to make direct mail the most effective marketing channel. And we do that through tracking the direct mail marketing channel and improving the response. Today, we're going to be talking about a very specific technology, something that's actually new to our platform that helps with the tracking and increase in response to the mail. And that's our QR code module. And then we'll be hearing from Steven Belshaw, the CEO and co-founder of UnifiedAR, and he's going to hone in on his augmented reality and other interactive print platforms and technologies as well. So over to you, Brad, to give a quick introduction of yourself to our audience.
Thanks, Mo. I am happy to be here, and because it's our show, we're going to go first, and I'm going to take you through QR code stuff. So everybody's heard of QR codes forever, and I'm going to kind of go in and break it down a little bit more, and maybe some of this stuff is new and maybe it's not. But this is something that I can say, well, everyone knows it's been around for a long time. And I'll tell you how long. It's been around since 1994. Toyota is actually the company that developed it for keeping track of vehicles as they come off the assembly line. So we're talking about technology that's almost 30 years old. And it's been used in inventory and other things over the years. I think one of the first places I recall it being used was UPS started using a two-dimensional barcode to track packages probably about 20 years ago when I was involved in the wholesale distribution market. Now, as far as advertising and printed media, this comes a little later. And this is where we're going to delve into. We're going to kind of skip the inventory management and package tracking because that's not what we're about here. But just to give you a little background, I want to explain how it works. Everybody's seen these QR codes and they look like a mishmash of dots and squares and rectangles, but there is a method to the madness, and I'm not going to delve in too deeply on it, but this gives you a very, very high level. There's 3 big boxes. Basically just tell the computer or the optical device that is required where to focus its attention, all right? And then there has to be consistency amongst these codes to make them work, because if everybody designed their own code with no formatting or no agreed upon rules, it would be a mess. Everything breaks down to zeros and ones, and I won't get into the detail there, but that little area within the greens are where the data lies, okay? Those 3 big boxes mean nothing. The white space means nothing. It's those where those numbers are that means things, all right? Now, let's go over like what happened in the last 30 years. And I think one of the biggest things is QR codes really took off because of one thing, and I'm sure you guys know what that is. It's COVID. Contactless engagement is what it's all about, all right? So if you can actually look up a menu, you can pay for something, you can respond to an ad, if you can do something without touching something or using a keyboard or going to a computer, well, you've made the process of engaging with something quicker and easier. The other thing that actually happened before COVID is, and some of you may not remember this, but in order to decode a QR code, you needed an app on your mobile device. The cameras on your phone did not automatically recognize they were looking at a QR code. So you had to download a QR code reader. And back in the early, I'm going to call it 2007 to say 2017, most of the time you needed an app to actually decode that QR code. Both Android and Apple started making that technology inherent within their camera's optical device. So you can kind of see on the dates where those things kind of happened. And I would guess, although I don't have anything to back it up, is it looks like in 07, the cameras on phones blew it up, and then it blew up again a few years later, which is probably the ability to use it inherently with a camera. This kind of gives you an idea of some of the growth over the years. QR code was relegated to the techno geeks and the guys that really were just love technology. Unfortunately, I was one of these guys, so I really haven't. I've been using QR codes for probably the better part of 15 years. I downloaded those dumb apps and I would open the app and I would find a QR code in a magazine, or I would try to use it on my UPS package just because I was geeky like that. I wanted to understand how it worked. And so for me, this is very old technology that the world is now starting to catch on. So I won't go over all of these stats, but the basic premise here is it's blown up in recent years, mostly in the last 2.5 years. So it's been in the news too. And these are some recent articles that you can look at that sort of have explained where QR codes are going to next. Even an article in CNN I saw just last week that says, well, how come now that the COVID pandemic is over, why are people still using QR codes? Why hasn't it gone back to the technology graveyard that it came from? Because people got used to it. They saw the ease of use and it became expected. Now, I do know plenty of boomers and Gen Xers, myself sometimes being one of them, where I go to a restaurant and they have the QR code sticker mounted on the table for the menu. And I'm like, can you please bring me a paper menu? So I think there's a few of us that do that. I'd be curious. Well, we don't have a survey thing, but I would say at this point, you should have a QR code on your business card. You should have a QR code if you are a restaurant or service or any type of facility where people come in so they can easily find your website. You know, website domains have gotten very long over the years. And you know, if you've gotten a 3 or 4 letter domain in your .com, congratulations. Most people are now past 10 letters, or it's .io, or it's .net, or it's something else. So it gets a little more clumsy to type in 20, 25 characters when you can just point your phone's camera at it and get to the website. So I will share this deck at the end that has the links to these articles. So anything, by the way, in the decks or anything that we're talking about, you will get a copy of the deck and a copy of the recording, hopefully with some of the ums and ahs edited out of it. So here's some interesting stats that I wanted to share with QR codes by the numbers. And first you might say, why do we care? Why does anyone even give a crap if people are using QR codes? I'll tell you that if you're in marketing, this is the point where it's kind of like something that you should be using in marketing. All right. If the adoption rate is at the point that if you're not using it, you're kind of behind the times. And I don't want to create a lot of fear, but some of you may remember the early 2000s or the late 1990s where people were going around selling websites. What do I need a website for? Nobody's buying stuff online. Nobody's going to put their credit cards in. Nobody's really using websites. It got to the point where if you don't have a website, there's a almost illegitimacy to your business or your marketing activities. So I'm not saying that that's exactly mirroring what's happening with QR codes at this point, but if you're not using them in your marketing or in your on your website or in your business cards, it's time to start adding it. It's time to adopt it. They cost nothing to make. They're free to use. They can report a lot of good information. And these numbers here on this chart kind of show the pervasiveness of QR codes at this point. So I question this first stat, but I'm going to give it anyway because it's here. 6.6 billion people use smartphones. Okay. Why is this relevant? Because every smartphone has a camera and every camera has an inherent QR code reader at this point. There's 7.7 billion people on Earth. I will pass along my own grain of salt with this. I have a hard time believing there's 6.6 million people with a smartphone in their hand on this planet. Maybe it's true. Even if it's half of that, that's still a lot of people. All right. A recent survey said that 75%, and this is a survey in 2022, 75% of US are eager to use more QR codes. That means the public has adopted this technology and they will use it. All right. Not every time in every instance, but they will use it. 59% QR codes will permanently be part of their daily usage. Again, the public adoption is there. 70% of restaurants use QR codes. We've hit that critical mass, another point. And 76% of consumers have scanned a QR code at some point. You have to have lived under a rock not to use a QR code at this point. So again, I'm trying to drive the fact that this is a marketing activity that you should be using as part of your marketing stack. All right. So who's using these the most? All right. I know that this stat shows US is low, but there are more people using QR codes in the United States than anywhere else. Now, why do I have it there? This is a respondent from a specific company, and I delved down into this to find out why is the US so low. It's a European company. So that's why those numbers are low. But it does show that other countries are using QR codes to a pretty deep level. All right. And the other thing is, who are the age groups using these? So if you're targeting I guess you can say the millennials or Gen Z, they're the ones using this the most. So if you're marketing to this group of people, this is something that should definitely not be overlooked in your marketing mix. And what are they using it for? What are people tending to use QR codes the most or most successfully? And these charts will show you exactly that. Coupons, obviously, access to specific information. But the biggest thing, if you look on the disc chart on the right, is magazines and newspapers are big. That's all advertising. Product packaging, that's if you give you an example that you bought a product. A lot of times they're consumer products. It could be drugs, they could be medicines, they could be even food information labels. These are being put on products all over the place all the time. And then, of course, to drive people to a website. That's number 3. All right. Posters or flyers that are posted. I have driven down the interstate and seen barcodes on billboards that I've been able to scan driving by at 75 miles an hour. All right. Makes sense. Another one, and this is one of the ones that I think is key, is on business cards. A business card can scan a QR code. It doesn't bring you to a website. It doesn't necessarily bring you to some information. It will actually allow you to create what's called a VCF, which are those little data cards that are in your Outlook or in your customer relationship manager that will take and format that address, phone number, email, and put it into a CRM of some sort on demand. So very, very useful if you're at a trade show or you're meeting lots of people. Boom, they're in your contact database instantly. One of the other things, and I've seen this more recently, and I'll show you some examples. I've been watching a sporting event and a bar will come up across the bottom and it will actually have a QR code on the TV. If you have an HD or a high def TV at this point, it will scan from your screen. Now, if your television's older, I've had trouble with this, it will not scan. So as long as you have a decent camera and a decent TV, you will see these things work directly as you sit on the couch and you point it at your screen, or you're driving down the freeway and you point it at a billboard. Very quick, very easy. These are some other examples of some of I mentioned, little counter stands, street signs, TVs, business cards. Another example is an instant download for an app. You scan a QR code, it'll bring you to the Google or Android or Apple App Store, and it's smart enough to know which one to send it to you based on the operating system you're using, and it will take you right to download that app instantly. Without going to a website or even clicking download, it will just happen. These are some examples of things you can do with QR codes to sort of make them a little more fun and a little more interesting, all right? You can put them in the shape of logos. You can add background images, as you see with the Mona Lisa. You can embed product images. They don't have to be square. They can be circle. Again, if you maintain those parameters that are very simple, you can make the QR code look any way you like, and you can embed quite a bit of data to it. I see that we have some questions already. Morgan, do you want to jump in with any of these, or shall we wait till the end?
Why don't we, I was thinking it would be good if we try to get through all the content, just because we have a lot.
Right, and then we can discuss it. All right, when we have some time. Perfect.
I'm grabbing the ones in the chat. This one we'll do live though at the end.
All right, let me go back to that again. There's some information here about the sizes and colors and the DPI if you're printing them. And again, this information will be on the deck so that you can see it. So if you're printing a QR code, all of that information you need to print it effectively is here and included. One of the things that I'm sure some of the people here may or may not have used or know about is the USPS is like Apple. They don't very often have a sale. And when they do, it's once a year and it's very specific. They do not haggle, they do not vary, they do not negotiate. But they are offering you could say it's a sale, it's a 2% discount on postage if you use a QR code with your marketing mail piece. Now, I'll let Morgan jump in here if there's anything that I'm getting wrong, but 2% on postage, I mean, it may not sound that exciting, but actually it doesn't happen very often. And if you're mailing to hundreds of thousands of people, that 2% can add up pretty quickly. All you got to do is put a QR code on your postage piece. Is that correct, Morgan?
Yeah, well, that's correct. And there's a few other things, but we're focusing specifically on QR codes, but there's digital voice assistant and a few other things. But I also just wanted to add that in addition to marketing mail, nonprofit marketing mail also qualifies. And you can even utilize this mobile shopping promo with the QR code, even if it's not generating a scan to a site where you're selling something for, to raise funds for a donation. You can utilize this also for raising monies as long as you have a return envelope in the solicitation for a donation as well. So for nonprofit to be able to take advantage of an additional 2% above and beyond the price breaks they're already getting on their postage, I think that's just phenomenal.
Right. Excellent. So take advantage of it. Use it, 2% is 2%. So, all right. So how does this all combine with omni-channel marketing? I mean, the QR code is honestly probably the most integrated thing that bridges printed piece with digital marketing, because it takes that printed piece, which is required for most cases for a QR code to exist, and it brings you to that online interaction or engagement instantaneously. So when you have a QR code, it sort of opens up the door, to engagement, to extending your message. You can deliver additional messages and you can track that engagement. So when you combine it with several other pieces of omni-channel marketing, the goal here is to lift response, lift ROI, lift engagement, whatever you're going for. One of the things, and this is where I kind of segue into the commercial about DM2.0, is we offer that omni-channel platform where you can take a printed piece, bridge it over into the digital world to improve that lift or ROI. So very important here. It can start with a QR code. It can start with dialing a number. It could start with going on to a website. Well, guess what? That QR code can give you a phone number. It can take you to a website that allows some of these other things to start happening, where you're targeting the same person that received the mail. And you know what happens when I repeat something 10, 12, 20 times? You remember it. You take action and you engage with it. So this is an example. I'm not going to go through every one of these 10 things on the screen, but obviously those of you who know what DirectMail 2.0 does. We do all of the things on this screen, and we would be happy to talk to you as long as you'd like about each one of those. This is not the time or the place, but we do it. One of the things I want to go in before I introduce what our module is most of the QR codes fall into two categories: static and dynamic. Static means non-changing. It is what it is, and it doesn't change. Dynamic means that things can change. Now, obviously, even though we're not physicists here, we know that that printed QR code is not going to morph into something else by itself as it transmits to your mailbox. So the dynamic part comes as it's being used. It doesn't come while it's floating around the mail system. The difference being here is on a static, you link to one URL. That URL does not change. So if that code equals a URL, that's it. One-to-one relationship. One code equals one URL. Dynamic means a few things can change. Most commonly, it means that you can change where you're directing that person to. I could take that QR code that's on that piece of mailbox, and one day I can direct it to one site. The next day I could direct it to another site. The other things that you can do is you can monitor those scans, report on every time that they've scanned. You're pulling back a lot of information. So give me some use cases. Well, some use cases are you put up a billboard and you send every single person to the same website. That would be a static QR code. It's not changing. The destination is not changing. So let me give you an example of a dynamic code. Well, let's say you wanted a unique QR code for every single person that's receiving the mail. Well, why would you do that? Well, a very good reason. That means you can absolutely know with 100% certainty which receiver of mail scanned which piece, all right? Because that code for that individual is absolutely unique. and we can send them to a website, and I can say Bob Jones from 523 Main Street scanned his mail piece 3 times on 3 different days and went to that website. Why is that information valuable? I don't have to teach you why, but I'm sure you can figure out. Now you know who's interested and what they did. We can even provide information such as what device they used, what operating system they used, what IP address they came from. And now you can hone your marketing in to that specific person, because once they arrive at the website, you can retarget them. You can see which pages they went to. You can see what things they're interested in. So now you can develop a very, very targeted campaign to follow up that individual. So I want to show you, how does DM2.0 provide this service? And this is getting a little bit in, I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you our platform. Some of you are probably already partners or users of our product, but I'm announcing that we now offer the ability to provide our resellers with dynamic or static QR codes in 4 easy steps. Basically, when you log on to create your campaign, now I'm assuming you already have a direct mail campaign that you're running, and you now want to add QR codes to it. You select, do you want a QR code? Do you want static, or do you want dynamic? Specifically, in this case, dynamic means I want a different QR code for every single mail recipient, so I know who actually scan the code. You go through and you create which website do you want to send them to. Now you can send them to one website, or if you want, and this is a version 2 that will come out in a few weeks from now, you can create an individual landing page for each individual person. So you can take Bob Jones from 532 West Main Street, and you can deliver him to a specific page just for him that says, hey, Bob, thanks for coming back. Last time we saw you, you bought this. How about seeing this time? You can have very, very customized pearls. Now, that's not something we do, but we allow the marketer to have that type of flexibility. Then we have the person, we generate a QR code based on the information they put in, they test it, make sure it all works, it resolves to the website correctly, and then they actually download all of those QR codes. So if it's just one code, well, that's pretty easy. But if they have a mailing of 5,000 pieces, we will download 5,000 individual QR codes that are linked to the intelligent mail barcode. So when the printer prints the document or the mail piece, he has an identifying piece of information for every single individual, so that that process is done correctly, and we can correctly report on the following. We can report unique scans, we can report on total scans, who from the mailing list scanned it, when they scanned it, how many times they scanned it, and coming soon, additional information in terms of device type, operating system, IP address, and all sorts of fun stuff. So this is a product that we are going to be releasing next week. Actually, on the 1st, we will be continuing to develop this. So if you're a printer or a marketer who wants the ability to deliver unique QR codes for every mail recipient, we're a player now. And Morgan will discuss or send out pricing information. But again, we've made this very affordable. And those that are partners of ours, it's really cheap, really cheap. All right. So I'm done with my content portion. Do we want to go with any questions about this, or do we want to let Steven take over and do questions at the end?
I just want to touch on one question real quick because it's relevant, so it doesn't get diluted. Michael was wanting to know, how would you pull up Bob Jones and Bob Jones' address? Would it need to be manually entered, or how are we getting that information? And so, Michael, in our platform, we allow for the creation of campaigns, and we're actually provided with a mail file. So we'll have the mailing list, and that will supply us with all the information we need to create those PQR codes.
Good point.
All right. So super. Is that all you got, Brad?
That's all I got. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'll let Steven take over and give his augmented reality presentation.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time today. let's jump in. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through a quick introduction into UnifiedAR, a bit of an overview on augmented reality, and then some key stats and also some examples and so forth. So each of the slides that we're going to go through today actually has a real life interactive WebAR experience on it. So please do feel free to pull out your phone as we go through and scan each of the QR codes that are on each of these slides and experience augmented reality and WebAR as we go through. So without any further ado, who's UnifiedAR? So UnifiedAR, we're a self-service white-labeled augmented reality marketing platform. So basically, what we do is we partner with printers, agencies, and marketers around the world to actually help enable them to take augmented reality to market for their customers. So we're predominantly focused on partner channel distribution. We've been around since 1997. Again, we're a global provider, and we actually have physical presence in the US, the UK, and of course, Australia, which is where I'm sitting at the moment. And I think the other point to note too is what makes us very different to a lot of other players in the AR space is that we are predominantly focused on AR for print, direct mail, and packaging. So we're less likely to be swayed by getting into projects on metaverse and spatial AR and that sort of thing. Our entire focus is on enabling print with augmented reality. So what is AR or interactive print? So augmented reality is the layering of digital content such as video, 3D animation, 2D animation, etc., over print and real world environments. So augmented reality, and this sort of ties in very well with what Brad was saying as well, in particular with new gen augmented reality, which is web-based, it's basically the perfect conduit between traditional print and mail and digital channels. So it seamlessly and guides consumers from a print piece through to an engaging digital experience. It's and again, because it's actually digitally based, it's all measurable. So again, being able to tell what's been viewed, how long it's been viewed for, where it's been viewed from, IP addresses, and so forth, and with some advanced modules, even the ability to be able to tell exactly who's done that, etc. So what we're going through today is the AR-enabled print and direct mail. We're not going to be talking about AR such as Pokemon and Metaverse and that sort of thing. It's all going to be print-based augmented reality that we're going to talk through. And I think it's also important to note that some of the whilst again augmented reality is predominantly, I suppose, beneficial to the likes of direct mail and so forth. It can also be used on things like packaging, signage, labels, business cards, calendars, fridge magnets, and that sort of thing as well. So a lot of people in the room today may have actually used augmented reality in the past. They may have actually experienced it as a consumer. They may have also actually tried, I suppose, even pulling together augmented reality campaigns for customers, etc. One of the things I do want to make very clear today is AR has evolved. It's evolved a lot over the last couple of years. Whereas 2 or 3 years ago, it was actually quite a cumbersome, expensive technology to actually play with. It also took a long time to actually pull together campaigns, etc. It's changed a lot. It's now very quick and easy to implement. It's very cost effective, and most importantly, it's also web-based now. So no longer is there a need to actually download an app to access the augmented reality. It's simply scan the QR code and click through to experience the AR.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. I want to make sure that people actually try scanning these codes, because what you got is really cool, and until you see it and experience it. So please grab your phone and scan those codes to get an idea of how this works, because it's hard to visualize it until you actually do it.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, absolutely. And this one, and the one we're looking at on the screen here now is it's a 3D ladies shoe. So you scan it, you click through, you give you access to for the browser to access the camera. You click through the splash page, and you'll actually have a ladies 3D shoe on the screen of your camera, on the screen of your phone, that you can actually move around. You can size in and out, you can rotate, and that sort of thing. So a great example of a 3D being delivered through augmented reality here. I think also too, there's facets of augmented reality that have evolved even further, in particular around the print and direct mail space, some of which I'll go through very shortly. But being able to use augmented reality, in particular WebAR, to actually synchronize direct mail lists, etc. Integrate with social media platforms for retargeting, doing geo-specific content and calls to action depending on where people are actually viewing the content from, and also pulling together multiple experiences into a single QR code by way of an AR catalog. So there's the whole AR and WebAR space, in particular in print, is evolving quite quickly. So looking at some of the key benefits of AR and WebAR, and again, the example that's on the screen there now, if you actually scan that one there, you'll need to actually turn away from the screen slightly to experience the augmented reality, because it's actually a full-size Ducati motorbike that you can actually load in the room next to you on the floor. So augmented reality, basically, some of the key benefits of it are it improves print and direct mail performance, and that by way of actually being far more engaging and interactive. It allows businesses to stand out from the competition and be seen as innovative. And again, consumers love dealing with innovative businesses. It provides customers with a more engaging and memorable brand experience, and there'll be some stats I'll run through in a second. It also streamlines the customer journey from print to digital goals. So one of the things with respect to WebAR is that the actual call to action with WebAR experiences, it actually occurs inside the WebAR browser. So you're not actually sending somebody to a site and then expecting them to take the call to action on that site or on that landing page. What you're doing is you're actually triggering an experience. They're actually engaging with that experience, and that experience is actually then driving the call to action to that digital goal. You can actually see.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Brad.
Is there one-on-one attribution? Like if I don't know if that's possible. If somebody does one of these AR sort of applications and they log in or they bring it up on their phone, is there any sort of reporting that says who did it or IP capture or anything?
Absolutely. So for I suppose like the QR code, if it's being viewed without synchronization to a mail list, we can actually tell the phone type, the IP address, the location where the consumer actually has location tracking accepted for their browser type. We can tell how long the experience has been viewed for, whether there was a call to action taken, and also how many times was that experience viewed. Now, when you actually then take it to the next level, and I'll run through this shortly, and you actually synchronize it with a mail list, we can then tell exactly who did what. So we'll be able to say, Brad viewed this experience on this date, he viewed it for this amount of time, he then went through the call to action. We can also then personalize the experience to a degree where the splash page that you're arriving on is, hey Brad, take a look at your new ride. And then you view the Ducati, and then the call to action comes up and says, hey Brad, click here to organize a test ride. So again, you're actually starting to synchronize and pull in that mail data into the WebAR experience and into that consumer's journey. And it's at that stage there we can tell exactly again who's actually done that.
Excellent. Okay, good.
So yeah, so one of the other things that's really good about WebAR is it actually allows for better utilization of digital marketing assets. So, for example, if you've got a customer that actually has promotional video for a product launch or that sort of thing, and that promotional video is available from the website and so forth, WebAR allows you to actually pull that content back into other mediums, such as the print, as would the QR code. But the WebAR will actually bring that video back into the actual WebAR browser, and you can actually then set calls to action on that. So instead of just actually having digital assets available on digital platforms, you can actually launch these digital assets now from print and traditional media. Again, reporting's in real time. So like as we go through and look at these experiences towards the end of the webinar today, I could actually pull up the screen and show you a map of where people have actually viewed content throughout the webinar. And again, you can change campaigns on the fly. So this Ducati could actually have a call to action to have a test ride. Today, it could be something completely different tomorrow. The actual content that you actually deliver can be changed on the fly as well. And like the shopping QR code and so forth, the augmented reality may be eligible for a 2% discount also with USPS through the Postal Pro promotions for the emerging tech. Again, that's now over for this year, but all indications would be that that'll be available again next year as well. So a couple of key stats that are pretty important. So from Layered, we've got augmented reality provides 70% higher levels of memory encoding and 1.9 times the level of visual attention than AR related interactions. So again, popping that content out, popping your message out to consumers and actually making it engaging and interactive. Interactive products, AR leads to 94% higher conversion rates when interacting with products that are delivered in augmented reality. So, you know, again, the Ducati or a piece of furniture in the corner of the room and so forth. And I think the one that's actually really powerful is this one here, and this was actually done in conjunction with Ricoh and USPS back in 2018. When AR is incorporated into direct mail, response rates jumped from 2.2 to 3% to as high as 35%. So that's actually a massive increase in the actual response rate with those AR-enabled direct mail campaigns. Okay, this one here, Web AR. Again, this one here, you'll need to scan the QR code, turn away from your desk, and you'll actually be loading an Eames chair in the room next to you. So what are some of the industry verticals that we're actually seeing showing an interest or taking on augmented reality at the moment? So banking and financial is a big one at the moment. We're seeing quite a lot of interest through the banking and finance industry in augmented reality. Real estate and property, that one there's a little bit of a no-brainer because, again, to be able to bring property and whether it be 3D tours or even 3D floor plans when you're buying off the plan or property into people's homes, then that's where the power of AR and in particular Web AR comes in. Healthcare and medical, we're seeing quite a lot of interest from healthcare and medical at the moment. Education and training, I've got a case study to show you shortly with OSU, so Oklahoma State University, and again retail and consumer products, hospitality, automotive, and also political campaigning. So again, coming back to that. The memory encoding and sort of sitting in people's minds, on the day, that sort of thing. So as mentioned, this one's a partner showcase. So this is a very quick case study on Oklahoma State University. This was done by ColorArt, a marketing.com company. So Oklahoma State University wanted to actually optimize student enrollments and engage with them using cutting edge communication. So again, being able to stand out as an innovator in the education space. So this campaign was actually one of the first campaigns run globally that actually included the address mail module, and the actual had variable QR codes, and it was synchronized with a mail list. So basically, the prospective students would actually scan the QR code. They would actually get their personalized splash page. They would actually then be taken through a video introduction into the school, and then click through a personalized call to action to actually go through to their enrollment page. The actual results of this campaign, the actual scan rate was around 25%, between 23 and 25% for the campaign, because it was actually run across different weeks and mail lists and so forth, and actually had an amazing click-through of 61%. So 61% of those that actually scanned the content actually clicked through to the enrollment page. So again, a really good result for that there. This one here, 3D example of a photogrammetry model. So this one here's a model of a ricotta tartine dish on a cutting board that was actually, the 3D was created using a mobile phone to actually take a series of photos and then stitch together as 3D. So what does the future of print AR look like? So again, without having a crystal ball, what I can tell you is some of the things that that we're working on with respect to the future of print-enabled AR, and a lot of it, if not all of it, is very much based on omni-channel solutions and so forth. So bringing the print and the AR back into as many digital experiences as possible. So in particular, some of the ones that we're working on are the address mail list synchronization, variable WebAR and Perl generation from WebAR campaigns, digital retargeting, geo-specific content and calls to action, and augmented reality experience catalogs. And I'll actually take you through just a couple of quick slides to show you how those actually work. So this one here is the address mail module. So again, the address mail module allows users of the platform to deliver more personalized experiences. Basically, campaigns are created, then mail lists are run against the campaign, and what is delivered back to the partner is an amended mail list with unique IDs and unique QR codes for every single recipient in the mail list. And again, as with the variable QR codes, that dynamic QR codes that Brad was talking about, at that state there, we can actually pull in personalization into the actual WebAR experience, but we can also track exactly who did what, when they did it, how often they did it, and for how long they did it, etc. Digital retargeting, so the ability to be able to add things like Facebook pixels, Google tags, and other tags and so forth into the actual WebAR experience, so that post WebAR, people can actually be retargeted on those social media platforms. Again, this one's again, these modules that I'm speaking about now, they're actually in beta at the moment. We're actually running these campaigns for a number of partners, and the address mail one is very, very popular, as is this this digital retargeting one. The catalog module. So this one here is all about bringing multiple augmented reality experiences into a single QR code. So basically, what would happen in this instance here is you would get this brochure, you would scan the QR code, and you would be taken through to a catalog, and then that catalog then allows you to open up a variety of different 3D models, place them in your room, and from each of those models trigger a call to action that allows you then to go through to the online store to actually purchase the furniture. And the last one, so this one here is coming soon. So this is the geotagged content module. So the ability to be able to create a single WebAR campaign, send it as a national mail piece, but have content specific to the region delivered to people that actually open it. So so it's local area marketing on a national level. So wherever the person scans the content from, they get a different experience and they get different calls to action. So ideal for example, franchise networks and so forth, whereby you can actually scan content, get a local message from you know, the local franchisee, and then be sent via the call to action through to their office, etc.
That's actually great to know. I was just asked about that last week, about having regional responses based on the zip code they come from. And I said, yeah, we can do that, but it would depend on, but it sounds like you've got a solution for that. That's actually good to know. I have a use for that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you can speak to me later, Brad.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much everything I had to run through today. So I'm going to I do apologize. Busting the myths. So this one here is actually really important. So busting the myths. Augmented reality is expensive. It can be, but in all reality, augmented reality is become quite a cost-effective solution. So in particular, if we look at say those address mail campaigns that I'm talking about, whereby you run the campaign via the actual WebAR experience and you send that out. If you've actually got the content ready to go for those campaigns, the actual WebAR component of it can be as small as fractions of a cent per mail piece. Actually really, really cheap in comparison to the overall campaign price, etc. So again, it's not, if in the past you've been sort of hesitant to actually do the augmented reality because of the actual cost of it, it's well and truly come down in price. So it might be worth really looking at that. Augmented reality is hard. Again, there's been a lot of advancements in technology of augmented reality, and in particular augmented reality distribution platforms. And what you'll find is that there are some platforms out there now that you can actually create campaigns without any technical experience whatsoever. Excuse me. And I apologize for that. And you can actually create the campaigns without any coding, and you can actually have campaigns created in as little as 2 minutes. So it's really, really easy to create some of these campaigns these days. Augmented reality doesn't work. So again, augmented reality has evolved a lot over the years. There was a lot of pushback on augmented reality, in particular app-based augmented reality in the past. Now that it's actually web-based, it's removed a lot of the barriers for the audience to actually access the content, and it makes it a lot easier for them to actually interact with the augmented reality. And it also makes it a lot easier to actually set up, so you're not actually coding content into apps and that sort of thing. You're actually using the augmented reality browsers, so web-based augmented reality browsers, to actually deliver the content. So again, making it a lot more accessible to the audience. And the last one is almost like the reverse of the previous one, and that is augmented reality as a silver bullet. Quite often I hear people talking about augmented reality in such a way that if I throw this augmented reality and QR code on a piece of print, then it's, you know, all my problems are solved. The fact of the matter is, and just like QR codes, with augmented reality and WebAR, it requires a strategy, a clear purpose, goals, and more importantly, a reason for the audience to engage. So just throwing the QR code for WebAR onto a postcard or onto a banner or a sign or that sort of thing is not going to solve your problems if you actually haven't got the strategy behind it and so forth, and really understand what it is that you want to achieve from actually having the campaign there. So that being said, I have now come to, just 2 seconds, to the end of my presentation. So I do, again, thank you everyone for your time today. Morgan, over to you.
I have a couple questions. I mean, that I've fielded here. I'll just jump in there. One of the questioners, Michael Martell, has asked, so if somebody has a preferred language on their browser or their identity profile, is it possible that the response that comes up will somehow intuitively know their language preference? I don't have an answer for that, but maybe you do.
I don't believe that would be possible at this stage. I mean, without custom coding, I don't see how that could actually work.
Sure, no problem. I'm not sure either. That seemed a little bit of a bridge to cross. I don't know of any technology that's going to inherently pull the information from the browser or the user profile and deliver a response in that language, unless they're in that country or the website is pre-written in that language and we're assuming a language preference. So I lost there.
Yeah.
Julie asks, Brad, I'm not sure I understand how we would track unique QR codes for DM2.0 would be created from a mailing list. Can you clarify? Absolutely, absolutely. So you know every piece of mail has an intelligent mail barcode. It's a unique 31-digit, correct me if I'm wrong, Morgan, 31-digit number. Every single addressee has a unique intelligent mail barcode. All we simply do is we create a unique QR code for every single mail recipient based on that intelligent mail barcode. In fact, one way that we can keep it simple and straight is we actually name that image, that QR code, 3122, whatever the 31 digits are, .jpeg or .pdf or whatever form you wanted it, so that there's no way, well, there's obviously a way people can make mistakes, but it's very easy in the print process to ensure that specific barcode is printed with that address label on that postcard or on that mail piece. That's how we do that.
Mhm.
I don't have any other existing questions or comments. I know some people put stuff in the chat. Unfortunately, when I respond to the chat, I can only respond to the hosts and panelists. I see Morgan has, or somebody has responded to most of them, correct?
Yeah, I did, but there's a couple other ones for you, Steven. So Patrick would like to know, can you import a 3D CAD model and view that in 360 degrees? How difficult is it to set up?
If the 3D CAD model can be exported into a GLB format, what you do need to do, because again, keep in mind that you're actually delivering this to mobile devices, so it needs to be downsized in such a way that the polygons are kept quite low and so forth. But if it can be exported into a GLB format, then yes, it can actually be downloaded through WebAR onto either to be actually viewed within the phone and interacted with, or even placed onto a horizontal surface, such as the example of the Ducati and the Eames lounge or the Eames chair that we actually had in that slide deck.
Okay.
Fantastic. One more question. How can AR be used in finance, insurance, or less sexy industries?
That's yeah. That is a very good question, and in actual fact, it's probably the less sexy industries that we're seeing the most interest from at the moment, because I think that's what they're thinking is how can we make our product sexy and so forth. There's a number of I suppose partners that we're working with that actually have clients in that space, are delivering in particular 3D content that actually has embedded video in it that promotes products and solutions and that sort of thing. So again, just being able to I suppose provide an experience that stands out from the norm. So 3D with video content in it, again, branded video content within augmented reality. And also things like we're seeing it both from postcards and also from transactional mail. So upselling of card products and that sort of thing through transactional mail using the WebAR QR code and video promotional product that is either delivered through WebAR or and in 3D.
Can you provide references for upload and go technology sources? I'm not really sure what that is referencing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to. Yeah, I'm not sure what
Okay.
the question is.
I didn't know if maybe you guys knew something I didn't, so I'm not. Okay.
Yeah. If it's got anything to do with can we sort of provide references for technologies whereby you can actually simply come along and upload assets to create augmented reality campaigns, such as artwork for a postcard and 3D content or video content and so forth. Platforms like UnifiedAR do exactly that. So, for example, if you actually came to our platform and actually had those assets ready to go, you could literally set up an augmented reality campaign that could go to print within 90 seconds. It's that quick, it's that easy.
Fantastic. And then someone was interested in knowing if you have a resource or a place where they can actually create the AR content or collateral.
We don't, but we can actually direct people to resources that can actually do that. And I think that's actually a really good point too, because I mean, a lot of customers already have resources that would be very suitable for augmented reality. They're just not aware of it. So such as property developers that actually have 3D renders of units and that sort of thing, and being able to actually then export those renders into 3D files and so forth, and or video content that can actually be reused across multiple platforms. But I think it's also important to note that whilst both augmented reality and QR code has evolved over the past few years, so too has asset production. So whereas in the past, 3D content was quite expensive to get developed, these days it's there are 3D developers on every corner that can actually provide 3D services and so forth. And in a lot of cases, developing 3D content can actually be as cost effective, if not even more cost effective than video content.
All right, fantastic.
I've got one here if we're ready.
Yeah, ready.
All right, Michael Martell asks, and I'll answer it for me, and then Stephen can answer for him. Do you guys provide an API to deliver notifications to an outgoing database such as Mongo or Fireplace? We do not have a reporting API at this point. It is in the works, and it will report on anything we report on. Stephen, do you have any comment on an outgoing API for reporting?
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same answer, Brad. We do have an API, and we are currently working in particular with one of our partners to actually create the API calls to actually pull reporting data out into their reporting dashboard. So I think with technologies such as DirectMail2.0 and also UnifiedAR, the API and API development is an ongoing development. You'll always be working on it, but yeah, it's definitely possible, and we're currently working on it with one of our partners now.
Great. All right, I have no further questions, and for the sake of time and experience, I'd say, unless Morgan, you've got something else, we cap it at this point.
I think that we've got through all of them. We thoroughly thank everybody for your time this afternoon. We know you have a lot of ways you can spend it. We hope you found the content valuable. Special thanks to you, Stephen, for joining us. We really appreciated it. We hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day.
Take care, guys.